In this exciting journey through history, we delve into a subject that has been central to the development of civilizations, the origin of currency. From simple exchanges of goods to today's global financial systems, the history of currency is a fascinating tale that has shaped our world in ways that often go unnoticed. Join us as we unravel the mysteries behind the creation and evolution of currency, exploring how this seemingly simple concept has triggered profound transformations in society, commerce, and culture. Don't forget to like the video to support our exploration of these intriguing historical narratives. Before the emergence of coinage, a millennium had already passed in which precious metals played the role of medium of exchange in the lands of the Near East. In the Mesopotamian region, in particular, silver was in widespread use and was mostly imported from the Taurus region of Anatolia. A telling example is that of Shinkoshid, king who ruled Uruk during the 19th century BC. He bequeathed to us the earliest known price record, detailing the amount of goods that could be purchased with a shekel, a measure of silver. Even the legal codes of the time, such as the Code of Hammurabi, specified the fines to be paid for infractions in shekels. Despite this, it was more common to settle debts and taxes in grain equivalents valued in shekels. The circulation of silver, in the form of ingots and fragments of promontory metal, was restricted. The distinct properties of silver and gold contributed to their widespread acceptance as a reliable medium of exchange in various ancient civilizations. Merchants, often intermediaries for kings and temples, were responsible for cutting them into smaller pieces that were weighed on scales in each transaction. These precious metals were not only easy to value and exchange for other goods but also held cultural significance, often used for crafting intricate jewelry and artifacts. Records from Maripur allow us to deduce that these merchants, who handled ingots and metal fragments, knew and trusted each other, basing their transactions on their reputations. Thus, in both the Near East and Egypt, anonymous promontory metals circulated, without the express endorsement of a political authority. Silver and gold had different qualities. They were intrinsically valuable possessions, easy to value and exchange for other goods. Unlike grains, they did not deteriorate over time, which made them particularly useful to merchants. Their widespread acceptance made them an efficient means of transaction everywhere. Although the supply of these metals was limited, it was precisely this scarcity that contributed to their high value. Regions endowed with sources of gold and/or silver enjoyed a notable economic advantage. Such was the case in the Kingdom of Lydia, in Western Asia Minor, now Turkey, where the first coins in history were produced. These coins, unlike the promontory metal fragments, had the backing of a state, Lydia. They were made of electro, a natural alloy of gold and silver found on Mount Tmolo. The river Pactolus, which flowed from that mountain to Sardis, the Lydian capital, carried numerous nuggets and grains of this alloy. The rulers of Lydia marked a milestone by introducing the first coins at the end of the 7th century BC. These coins, minted rather than cast, had the appearance of small nuggets or grains. They were made of an alloy known as electro, a term that translates as bright gold or white gold in ancient Eastern terminology, as described by the Greek historian Herodotus. In Roman influence, the term electro encompassed both the gold and silver alloy and the solidified resin we recognize as amber. Amber, mostly yellowish, possesses the ability to generate electricity when rubbed vigorously, which is why Roman electro and our modern word electricity share their root. These electro coins tended to have a rough texture, initially little different from Mesopotamian bullion fragments or grains stored in palaces and temples, a similarity that was deliberately sought. The main face of these new nuggets, with their official stamp seal, often rounded and flattened, was conventionally referred to as the obverse. Initially, this surface was usually striated and irregular. The reverses, or secondary parts of the coins, were marked from the beginning with 1, 2 or 3 strikes or impressions. This was done to show the quality of the metal, both on the surface and inside the stamped nugget that represented the new coin. The backs of early coins were marked with 1 or more impressions to ensure that the entire coin, and not just its surface, was made of precious metal. On early coin issues, inscriptions were very rare and appeared to have originated from the seal traditions used in Mesopotamia and Crete. Among these rare coins were staters depicting a grazing spotted deer. As time went on, certain images replaced the stripe. In ancient electro, these images were usually of whole animals or parts of them. These animals could be wild or domestic, real or mythological, terrestrial, aquatic or flying, vertebrate or invertebrate. Inanimate, floral and geometric motifs also appeared. By the end of the 7th century BC, up to 100 designs could be identified on archaic electro coins. However, this did not necessarily mean that there were the same number of mint locations or mints, possibly no more than 50. Some of these identifiable mints were Cyzicus, which used the tuna as a symbol, and Phocis, which marked its coins with a griffin or more frequently with a seal. The representation of a lion's head confronting that of a bull is generally associated with the Lydian rulers of the Myrmidon dynasty, whose last representative was Croesus. There is no doubt that the first electro coins were minted in Western Asia Minor and its nearby islands. The most significant archaeological finds come from the excavation of the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus by the British mission between 1904 and 1905, which unearthed 93 coins among the foundation deposits. The invention of coinage was intertwined in a non-coincidental manner with the rise of the polis, or Greek city-states, in the Aegean region. These polis were characterized by their egalitarian approach in both their conduct and legislation. Although the polis could require various services from their citizens free of charge, they also recognized that certain tasks were strenuous or inadequate. As a result, the polis rewarded through coinage the inconvenience derived from these services. It is known, for example, that in ancient and classical Athens coins were given to citizens who attended political assemblies and trials, such as the philokleon mentioned at the beginning of this article. These coins were of little value, but served to compensate for the obligation to attend assemblies, a duty that required many Athenians to leave their land and the countryside for the city. In addition, the rowers of the Athenian war fleet, citizens of limited means exempt from the obligation to defend the city, received a salary. This distinction was in contrast to the hoplites, infantrymen who paid for their own military equipment, since they belonged to more affluent social strata, and had to fight without pay. Also, on numerous occasions, coins were minted to pay mercenaries. The first polis to mint coins were those of Ionia, located on the western coast of Asia Minor, maintaining close economic and cultural ties with Lydia. In fact, the Greek cities obtained advantages by putting into circulation coinage that had a higher value than the metal used in its manufacture. This allowed their apparent wealth to be higher than the real value of the precious metal backing the coinage. This phenomenon would explain why so many polis began to mint coins and why the issuance of silver coins spread rapidly from the end of the 6th century BC. Both local and foreign citizens used this overvalued currency in specific situations, such as the purchase of goods or the payment of tolls and fees. In exchange for establishing its coinage as a medium of exchange in its territory, the polis had to guarantee its production and authenticity. This was evidenced by the figures and texts engraved on the shiny surface of the metal. And so concludes our journey through the origins of coinage. From the earliest forms of barter to the intricate financial systems of today, we have explored how currency has been more than just a medium of exchange. It has been a reflection of societal evolution, technological innovation, and the complex economic dynamics that shape our world. If this journey has left you intrigued and you want to explore more historical and cultural topics, feel free to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for future historical content.